Perfect. So, Chair Andre, we are live streaming. You can go out with the public notice.
Okay. Welcome everyone to November 9th, 2021 Heritage Richmond Hill meeting. Tonight's meeting is an electronic meeting being held pursuant to Section 283, 3.3 of the Municipal Act 2001. Due to the efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19 and to protect all individuals, city facilities will not be open to the public to attend meetings until further notice. Please note that we have received regrets from Dan Kelly and David West for tonight's meeting. The public had the opportunity to submit written correspondence regarding agenda matters by email to the clerk's office. All written correspondence received by noon today would have been included on the agenda, but there was none received. The public also had the opportunity to apply to appear as an electronic delegation, either by video conferencing or by telephone by noon today. There were no delegation requests received. As the chair of the committee, I will now call the meeting to order. And the first item of business on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Can I move to adopt the agenda? Okay, I see Helen. Okay, all in favor? Okay, good. Okay. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature of thereof? Seeing none, we will adopt the meetings. Adoption of previous minutes was brought to the attention of the clerk's office that Al, is there a correct issue here? No, okay, I'm going to back. It was brought to the attention of the clerk's office that Itwar's attendance was incorrectly noted as regrets in the last October 12th, 2021 Heritage Richmond Hill Committee meeting. The minutes were amended to accurately reflect his attendance as being present via video conference at that meeting. Can I get a motion to adopt the minutes of the previous meeting? I see Doris.
Motion that.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, and okay, the minutes of the Heritage Richmond Hill meeting, HR 07-21, held October 12th, 2021, be adopted as amended. Any discussion? Nope. Okay. And also all in favor, I'm getting favored and opposed at the same time. Okay, any opposed? None. Okay, so we will continue with the rest of the meeting. And I'm going to say hi to Joe. I just saw you pop in. I had to go to my other screen to read all that. So sorry, I'm at the cottage and I don't have a printer here, so I'm improvising. Okay, so we are going to go on to the
notices before the meeting.
Yeah,
it's a lengthy notice you have to go through.
Yes, it is. So that's done. Check. Let's go on here. Okay, so we have minutes. Heritage Richmond Hill meetings. We've gone through that. Extract council meeting held October 27th. That there are the extract from the council meeting C4221 held October 21st, 27th, 2021 regarding staff reports SRPI 21093 heritage permit application for 10,155, 10,157 Yonge Street, the Hollison Steel Keel House and Shop be received. So someone approve that? Doris, thank you. All in favor? Good. Okay, none opposed. Okay. Okay. Delegations, we had none. Okay, scheduled business. First on 5.1, SRPI 21103, heritage permit application for 53 Arnold Crescent, the McNair Stalebrace House. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. That the heritage permit application to replace the rear door at 53 Arnold Crescent, as described in the staff report, be approved. So will anyone move this motion? Okay, Councillor Silvitz, thank you. Is there discussion? I hope everyone had a chance to read the report. A few diagrams, not too much to read. Anything to say to that report? Tom, you?
No, Madam Chair, I'll gladly move the staff recommendations. I agree with them, and I'm sure that the committee feels the same way, hopefully, and we can move forward with that as well. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments from any of the other committee members? No. Okay, very good. All in favor? Good. Any opposed? Okay. Al and I'm forgetting the other guy's name. So Lana, help me out here. Ryan, who's the other guy on the call?
Madam Chair, it's James Campbell.
James, sorry, I want to call it John. Okay. Can you just, like, when we're voting on something, what is the protocol for having people that we can't see vote?
Through you,
I
Madam
thought I
Chair.
would.
The verbal yes is good. I think in all instances so far, without them even voting, it would have passed. But
Okay,
a verbal would be good.
so a verbal. So if James, sorry, I wanted to call you John. I knew that was wrong. So James and Al.
That's okay.
Okay, I could call you worse. Okay, so
We'll
very
just have a yes or a yay, perhaps.
sounds good. Okay, so it is carried. So fine. The back door of this house is absolutely fine. So good. Okay. Move on to 5.2. Delegated authority on minor heritage permits, presented by Joanne Lung, our manager of urban design, and Pamela Vega, urban design heritage planner. At the presentation, so do we have someone to move the presentation by Joanne Lung and Pamela regarding delegated authority on minor heritage permits be received? Okay. Now, actually, do we get, we hear the report, then we receive it, correct? Lana or Ryan?
Through Madam Chair, yeah, that works, or the other way also works. I mean, you haven't called the vote,
Okay.
so either way is okay.
Okay, so can we have this report and then, yeah, we'll discussion and such.
Sorry, Madam Chair, no, you can't call the vote until they finish. So at this time, it would be for Joanne and Pamela to present.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I intended. So thank you. Okay, so I'm waiting for them to present.
Good
Madam
evening.
Chair, may I interject? Excuse me, but whoever is on the call, James and Al, if they could mute themselves, because it's interfering with every time you speak or someone else speaks, it's interfering. So, and I can always hear crackling. So sorry, I don't mean to interfere with Joanne and Pam, but I think it would be best if they mute themselves. Thank you.
No problem at all.
Madam Chair, just so you know, I am muted most of the time, which is why you don't hear me vote, because by the time I click it, the vote is usually passed. But just for the record, I have no issues. Everything I've been in agreement with, but I am on mute, and that's why you don't hear anything from me.
Okay, thanks, Al. Okay, thanks. Okay. So
Good
Pamela
evening.
and Joanne.
Yes. Hi, good evening, members of Heritage Richmond Hill and Madam Chair. We actually have a presentation today regarding the potential delegated authority for minor heritage permits. This is for discussion purpose only, and this is really to give a background of the current practices around the municipalities in Ontario with regards to minor heritage permits the content of what is a minor heritage permit and what is this process is in this presentation. So I'm not going to speak to it, but Pamela is going to present, and afterwards we would just want to get your comments. All your comments will be referred back to staff. We are not making any decision. We just want to understand your perspective on this potential. I will give it to Pamela right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Joanne. If we can go to the next slide. Also, I apologize. I'm getting over a cold, so my voice is kind of a little raspy and I'm going to be coughing a lot, so I apologize. So the purpose of this presentation is to explain the options available for delegated authority for minor heritage permits and to spark discussion as to whether delegated authority is something that would suit the city's needs. And we are looking to receive feedback from HRH on whether delegated authority for minor heritage permits should be investigated further. Next slide. Development in Richmond Hill is intensifying. Increases in housing costs, a trend towards more environmentally sustainable housing, and increased intensification within the city boundaries are expected to cause the number of heritage permits to increase. And we're already seeing this happen. So far this year, we have received 5 heritage permits compared to 2 heritage permits in 2020 and 1 in 2019. And of the 5 heritage permits received this year, 80% of them are considered to be minor in nature. This trend is happening across the GTA, and as a way to deal with this increase, municipal staff are being delegated authority over minor heritage permits. Next slide. Before moving on, here's a brief summary of the city's current heritage permit system. As you know, a heritage permit is required to alter a designated heritage property. In Richmond Hill, these alterations are categorized into one of 2 categories. 1, minor heritage permits, or 2, major heritage permits. Minor heritage permits are small in scope and have little to no impact on the property's heritage attributes. Examples of this work covered by heritage permit include repainting the exterior cladding material in a different color, or alterations to a non-heritage attribute. Major heritage permits, on the other hand, tend to be larger in scope and may, or have the potential to, physically or visually impact the property's heritage attributes. This includes the construction of additions, the demolition of structures or heritage attributes, or extensive repairs. Regardless of whether the work is considered major or minor in nature, however, all heritage permit applications go through the same process. The staff report is written, the heritage permit and associated staff report are reviewed by HRH, and council reviews and approves the application. The next slide, please. So what is meant by delegated authority? In short, it is the passing of a bylaw that gives senior municipal staff the authority to approve certain applications on council's behalf. One current example of this is the city manager being given authority to approve matters related to the Ontario Heritage Act during the summer recess when council meetings are not held. Next slide, please. So how would the process change if delegated authority is given for minor heritage permits? For one, heritage permits for minor alterations would be approved by municipal staff, so HRH review and council approval will no longer be required. Heritage permits for major alterations would still be reviewed by HRH, and your recommendations would still be brought to council. These alterations would also require council approval. Heritage or HRH would be updated through staff reports on which minor heritage permits received approval through delegated authority, and these updates may be done as frequently or as infrequently as HRH would like. Next slide, please. Right now, the heritage permit process can be quite lengthy, which can be frustrating to homeowners, especially when they're proposing a minor alteration. Because of our internal staff report times, it can take up to 3 months for a minor heritage permit to receive approval. For example, the heritage permit application that will be reviewed by HRH at today's meeting was received by staff on September 23rd. It will not be seen by council until November 24th. Allowing staff to approve minor heritage permits would then reduce the time staff and HRH spend on report preparation, meetings, and processing, and would be a more efficient use of both staff and committee members' time. It would reduce the wait times for property owners to receive approval as well. It would also improve the city's relationship with heritage property owners, as a quicker turnaround for permit approval will make the ownership of a heritage property seem less arduous. Finally, it may lead to improved heritage conservation, as it would encourage heritage property owners to seek the appropriate approvals through the appropriate processes rather than undertake work without a permit. So to help ascertain what the current standard practices are in the province, heritage staff reached out to municipal heritage planners across Ontario during the summer. 10 municipalities responded. Of these 10 municipalities, 7 have delegated authority over minor works, 1 has delegated authority over all heritage permits, and 2 did not have delegated authority. Next slide, please. The definition of what minor work is varied from municipality to municipality. For some, only specific types of work were noted as being minor. For others, it was any work that didn't include the demolition or removal of a building. And for others, it was any alteration that had a neutral or positive impact on the property's cultural heritage values. In all cases, though, it was senior management who was delegated authority over heritage permits. All 8 of the municipalities with delegated authority also provide the Heritage Advisory Committee with regular reports that summarize the approvals that were recently given. And 2 of the municipalities with delegated authority involve the Heritage Advisory Committees in the minor heritage permit process. Next slide, please. As mentioned earlier, each municipality defines what is considered minor work. And there are different approaches to defining what minor is. You can define based on inclusion. In other words, have a list of specific properties or projects that are considered minor. You can define based on exclusion. For example, anything that is not a demolition. Or you can give a general definition, such as anything that has a neutral or positive impact on the property's heritage attributes. And next slide, please. Some examples of work that may be considered minor include minor repairs to heritage attributes using historically accurate types of material, repainting the exterior in a historically accurate color, alterations to non-heritage attributes, and minor revisions to previously approved permits. And next slide, please. So we would like to know what your thoughts are on delegating approval of minor heritage alterations to staff. Is this something that you would be supportive of? And under what terms would this be supportable? For example, would you require quarterly updates on approved permits? Or would you prefer more frequent updates? And how should minor work be defined? Currently, minor alterations are defined as, quote, typically involving small additions, repairs, or changes to a residential house. Should this definition be changed? We would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
Okay, we'll have a discussion. So I see, first I saw Barb and then I see Al's hand up. So Barb, let's start with you, and Doris will be third. And then we have Karen is fourth. So, okay, Barb.
Great presentation. I like the idea that can be delegated authority. I also like your idea that you would give some kind of report. I think quarterly for me would be good. But also, would you leave the door open that even if there was a minor repair that you were concerned about, that you could still bring it to the committee? It doesn't let you not bring anything minor, but it would be like in your hands to say you'd like more input on some minor repair. The other question I have, though, when you say it frees up some of the staff's time, how much time do you think it frees up? Like,
Okay.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair. Each report, it has multiple levels of approval. So I write the original, the draft report, and then it's seen by Joanne, and then our director, and then our commissioner, and then by the city manager. I'm not sure how much their review time is. For me to write a report, it could be probably between 10, 15 hours, easily probably for the simpler ones. more complicated ones can be a little lengthier because there's a lot of revisions, and Joanne and I will discuss them and come up with different versions of it. And to your previous question about if there are options to bring forward minor alterations to the committee for comments or for recommendations, that absolutely could be one option too. If there's something that is a little bit more controversial or maybe not so straightforward, that may be considered more of a major alteration or application, so that could be brought towards the to the committee for the review before bringing to council.
That's good. Thank you.
Al, this is the next person what I noticed. Al?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with the idea of this, what I would call a more streamlined process. I think it's overall consistent with the principles of good governance, and we've seen this trend in the legal field and the court systems and government in general. And that I'll give the example under the Young Offenders Act, as it used to be called. They introduced what's called a diversion program way back when, so that very minor matters or matters that could be dealt with outside of the courts more appropriately were diverted out of the court system. So in this way, I see that applications that would be of a minor nature, as you call them, should be dealt with in a more streamlined and quicker way. As was pointed out by staff, it's better for the relationship with homeowners and citizens in general. And just looking at the practicality of the application, where I see some issues is that we definitely have to define precisely what's considered minor. I would prefer to see the process continue with a general intake, but perhaps you could have the applicant indicate whether they consider it a major or a minor application. And then a gatekeeper on the staff side would take a look at it and just confirm whether it's a major or minor application. If they are truly minor, I have no issue with a quarterly update, as Barb had suggested. But what I was thinking that might be even more efficient is just a list sent out to the committee along with the general minutes for all the applications that have been of a minor nature since the previous meeting, and only if it's something that we think might be worthy of some discussion would we ask staff to do a presentation on it. That way we don't burden staff in preparing a presentation on all the minor applications that have happened since, because the whole idea is to try to streamline that process. And if it's something that's very minor, pro forma, so to speak, the staff should be able to approve it and it goes on its way, and it doesn't burden staff to prepare a presentation to the committee, nor do we spend time on that when we can focus our attention on more pressing matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Al. Pam, Joanne, did you want to respond? Okay.
I think that we're here to listen. There's not much for us to respond because I think our information is on the presentation. We would like to hear what you have to say. I think that there's a lot of great information and discussion. So I hope that this can continue right now. I'll be quiet.
Okay. Okay. Doris, I think you're next there, and then Karen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you to staff for the presentation. I think it was a very well done presentation. I do have a couple of comments. I do support the idea of a different, more expedited process for minor changes to a heritage property. Critical, though, for us to be successful is that we have very well defined criteria against which all of these minor permits get assessed. And I'm going to make an assumption here, and you can tell me whether or not I'm wrong in my assumption, but I am assuming that whether we're doing a minor permit or a major permit, there will still be a staff review against the criteria that are established for minor permits, and that becomes part of the public record, so that if anyone is interested in seeing that assessment, they will have access to it. That was my first comment. My second comment has to do with my reflection on the changes that the province has introduced to the Heritage Act. If I remember correctly, is that the province in the legislative changes that they introduced had more appeal mechanisms in place. So my question for the staff is to consider how how would you address the situation where a minor permit is being denied and the individual who has submitted that permit wants an appeal mechanism of some sort, some review to determine whether or not the right decision was made on the minor permit. So I think we need to think about how we deal with the denial. Yes, it's good to be optimistic and positive that all the minor permits will be processed and everyone will be able to proceed with their renovations or the work that they want to do on the heritage property. But I'm sure that there'll be situations where we'll have denials. So I think it's important that we think about how we manage an appeal process, because, you know, if the whole idea is to get these permits done quickly, we don't want this dragged out with an appeal mechanism or an appeal process that is long and stretched out. So we really need to look at the appeal mechanism. I would also suggest that, because I'm being optimistic, that if this kind of minor permit process is approved and continues or is implemented, that 12 months after we've implemented it, that we do a review of it to see how effective it is and whether or not there are things that we need to adjust to the permit. As someone who's worked in government, 12-month reviews, 12-month reviews are really critical in our improving the new process that we put in place and learning from the 6 to 12 months of experience we have. And my last comment has to do with how do we inform and how can we educate heritage home owners or heritage property owners about the new permitting process and how they can avail themselves of that. Because I think for some of them, this will encourage them to undertake some of those minor changes to their properties that are necessary, but they're delaying it because they don't want to go through the typical major permit process. So I think we need to really have a concerted effort to inform people who own heritage properties in terms of this new process once it's developed and is ready for implementation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Doris. Okay, Karen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to staff for bringing us this presentation. I'll gladly move to receive the presentation and remarks from staff with thanks. I fully support this. I think it's an excellent idea. Having been engaged with Heritage Richmond Hill for so long, since 2007, I can see where this, Joanne and I go way back. I can see where this would be very beneficial to both sides, to the city as well as to the applicant. I agree with what Doris was saying. I think that we should have a review. An annual review would be, I think, would be good. And then we could hear from staff how the process is going. I have complete faith in staff that they are capable of making these minor decisions on our behalf with designated authority. As was said in the presentation, it's done quite often. It's done, the city manager has designated authority, and the Committee of Adjustment has our designated authority as well under the Planning Act. So this is not something that's unique, and I believe it's a very, very good idea. I think those were all my comments. And the other comment I wanted to make was I think either a quarterly update or an update every meeting. That's fine by me. It doesn't make any difference. But as long as we're getting regular updates and we know exactly what staff has been doing and which permits came through and which were approved, which were denied. And I think it's most minor permits are approved. I would imagine so. And I think this is very good for our residents as well. And it might give them some impetus to keep the properties up even in an even better manner, because they've got the time is so foreshortened. So thanks again. This is such a wonderful idea, and I fully support it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Karen. Helen, you would like to say something?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. And through Madam Chair, I have just a few comments. I also reflect everyone else's sentiment. I like this delegation idea. I think anything we can make the city working more effectively, efficiently, is a good idea. That's one. And also anything we can make residents, the Richmond Hill residents, life easier, whether, making the process quicker, faster, right? For them to do some minor alterations. And all these should be, these are all the good idea, good things to do. That's one. And the second comment I have is, the planning department, right? You are all professional planners. So I trust, I would, in principle, I trust you guys' definition of minor alteration. Okay, so what you think is minor, I probably will just agree with your definition. You are better than us, right? You know everything about the planning, about the building permits, everything. So I would principally trust your definition. And lastly, I think maybe at the end of quarter, we'll just you can just give us a list of the buildings that's being approved of these minor alteration. I think that should be enough. Right. One more comment. I would like to see this continuing, not just for now because of the housing cost, people are doing these, right? So if this works well, I would love to see this going forward in the future. We'll just continue implementing these kind of measure. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Helen. Jenica, your comments, questions. You're mute. Yeah.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. I also like the idea. I think it's a great one. We all know like what colors are historically accurate, right? So we don't need to talk about that. One question I have though is if we are going to sort of review which permits were approved quarterly, are we really saving Pamela any time? Like she still then has to write a report, or how would that check-in differ from the report that she would write that we would have to vote on? That's maybe something to consider. I do think that we should review what has been proposed, but I also wonder if we're defeating the purpose or if there's a way we can kind of, I don't know, coordinate that so that we're still achieving the goal.
Through the chair, I think I can just provide some idea. When we talk about providing an update, really we're just reporting rather than actually getting approval. So it's very different. The approval would have been given already because there is no another way of reviewing it after we have approved an application for a minor permit. So the whole idea is to inform the committee of the type of project that has gone through under the minor alteration, minor permit as an information only, and it's not really for approval or review. And of course, there could be discussion as well, and it could also come through that maybe some project that it maybe warrant a discussion as to whether something is considered minor or not through the discussion of HRH, and maybe we would then work through this for moving forward. So I would say that the reporting and updating is, first of all, is for your information, and second of all is to actually ensure that our definition continues to work well with HRH mandate and ideas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Okay, Tom, I'd like to hear from you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think anything that streamlines the process and gets answers back to the residents is all better. I had just a suggestion, if that reporting could just be something as simple as a table identifying kind of the address, the type of request that was made and what the outcome of that was. And then if members of the committee have questions about that, we can probably ask for further details on that. But I would think that'd be sufficient for the majority of the issues. So thank you very much. I think it's a great conversation.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. The only person we haven't heard from is James. Do you wish to make any comments, questions, James? No. Okay. Al, you have another comment. Your hand's raised again. Do you have another comment, or was it just from before?
Oh, no, Madam Chair, thank you. It's just the support of the position that Jenica was putting forward and the suggestion that Tom made. I would be fine with just a list, and if the committee requires further information, then we ask for it. But I really do prefer that we take a more subdued approach to this. And if staff has questions, of course, they can bring it to us. But I don't really see the need for us to have a continual oversight in terms of what they do for minor permits. The whole idea is to try to get away from the oversight and the streamline the process. So I think that Tom's idea is a good one, and I would support that.
Okay. I have a couple of questions and comments. James, were you going to? No. Okay. Just a couple of questions.
I could speak if you like.
Yes. Oh, please do, James.
Sorry, I'm just having a little difficulty using only my phone, but I too am in favor of the idea, and I agree with Al's comments completely. I think the service is to benefit the public, and if it streamlines the public process, I support the decision completely.
Okay. Very good. Thank you, James. Okay, a couple of questions and comments from me. The one slide you had up, Pamela, I believe at the bottom it says one condition was emergency repairs. Is that correct, or was I imagining some things?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. That was an example from another municipality's delegated authority bylaw. That doesn't necessarily mean that we need to also assume that emergency repairs are considered minor alterations. That could be something that we could also discuss as this progresses.
Yeah, I just have a problem, like too many an emergency definitely could not be a minor. So that's why I prefer not to have that as our list of possible minor ones. So, and for my vote for having review of meetings, I think it's just sort of prudent, just because I don't believe it's too many, that on our meeting list, we just have that simple list that Tom said, that address what and this, and just so we have awareness. I am assuming it would not be too onerous to do that. And then I believe it was Jenica who suggested, that we, like, I think the question was, we should need to inform the public. And I would like some response, like, how do we tell the homeowners that there would be this change, like, assuming there is a change, that there is this change? What happens there?
Through the chair, this is something that we could work on. We definitely need to work on that, as we are bringing this idea as the first time for you to consider. The ramification and the next step are to be considered after we actually hear from you. So we haven't really evolved into that stage yet, because this is the first time. We just want to understand whether there is even an interest in it. So if there is, then definitely we would have to find ways to provide that to the residents. I mean, ultimately, heritage permit alteration is for designated property only. The quickest thing for us to do is to prepare a letter to the designated property owners, letting them know that this is what's happened, and that's the least we can do. We can also do that through social media. I have no idea at this point, but I think that definitely a letter correspondence to the designated property owner is the first step that we will do, just like a heritage grant.
Okay. So you have this database of all the heritage properties. How many properties that approximately? I'm not sure if we're talking about 50 or 500.
Pamela, I'm going to have you give the statistics.
Yes. Let me see the rundown. There is.
I feel like we should know this, and I'm almost embarrassed to say I'm asking it at this point in time, but I am asking it.
Yes, it's less than 100. I'm not sure about the exact numbers. I can confirm next.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And yeah, so those are my questions and comments. Okay. Anyone else like to say something with this? Okay. Well, I think we've had a good discussion, and I hope staff doesn't mind all our questions and comments. And I believe Karen, Councillor Silovitz has said that she would approve this. So should we all in favor of receiving this report? Okay. Okay. So I
Aye.
think that's
I'm
unanimous.
in favor.
You're Alan, you're in favor, and James, you're in favor. Thank you. I always wonder about you guys down. You're in the bottom of my screen, and I'm like, okay, okay, very good. So that is that it carries. So we move on from there. Excellent. Okay. Next is our heritage meeting schedule. And Lana, is it possible that you put it up on our screen for us, or James, or sorry, Ryan? I don't have it in front of me because again, I don't have a printer here. Just so if we have any discussion, can you put it up, the minutes, sorry, the dates of the next meeting, just that we can have a better discussion. I don't expect there to be any issues.
Through you, Madam Chair, I don't recall that item 5.3 was discussed, or perhaps I've missed it. Draft listing.
You know what? I
templates.
thank you for that. I did miss it. Okay, sorry. Thank you. 5.3, draft listing templates. Okay, thank you for keeping us on track here. Discussion by Joanne and Pamela. The discussion and comments from Heritage Richmond Hill committee members regarding the draft listing templates be received. So I guess we turn over to you guys again. Sorry about that.
I'll have Pamela do the presentation.
Yes, so a couple of months ago, we provided some feedback, comments on the draft templates that Dan provided to us on behalf of the designation subcommittee. So we've changed it a little bit now. So the nomination form, instead of having it separated into elements that had quantitative or qualitative elements to it, this is more straightforward. This is more informative, given that this form potentially could be filled out by any person, regardless of whether they have experience in assessing heritage properties or not. This would be used as an information gathering document rather than a true nomination form. This will not be used by the public to provide us with everything. This is more like the base. This will be provided to staff and to HRH to start this further assessment of whether the property has potential cultural heritage value and merits listing on the register. So it's quite straightforward right now. It can be made a little nicer. But this, like at the beginning, we just need the information from the nominator, basic information about that will help us to identify the property. And then it goes into the physical attributes, how it was built, what is it made of, how many stories does it have, and then descriptions of the cladding material, the roof type, just everything that you don't need to have an architectural or heritage background to describe the building. It's very straightforward, and we a step by step pretty much to say like, what does the building look like? And it also provides the nominator with the ability to include supporting documentation, so historical photos, current photos, anything else that could help us assess the property's cultural heritage value. And we also drafted up, apologies, I have way too many screens, the evaluation template that, if you recall, at the original version that Dan provided to us, it was based on the criteria that the federal government used to assess their the federally owned buildings. So we changed it so it reflects provincial criteria and they have the drop-down menu. So it's either strongly agree, or disagree. And it just it reflects what is written in Ontario Regulation 9-06. And this would be done by someone who does have experience with heritage evaluation. So it could be members of the committee, it could be members from the Historical Society, someone who does have some knowledge as to heritage buildings. So we'd love to hear feedback from HRH. What do you think this looks like so far? Is this a good step? Are we not doing this the right way? Any suggestions? We'd love to hear.
Okay. Okay, I see Al's hand. Is it possible, should we have her stop sharing the screen so we can all see what we're doing, or yeah. And we'll ask you if we need to have the screen shared again. So Al and then Doris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think it would be helpful if we had a copy of these. I didn't see them attached in the agenda, not necessarily for tonight, but if you could send them to us, it might help give us some time to look it over. But two things did catch my attention. I believe it's on the intake form. There is, I think it's the third line where you ask for a legal description of the property. I doubt that most people would know the legal description of the property. You'd have to go to the land registry and find that sort of information. So I think it'd be a bit confusing and you'd get information that's incorrect. It's probably best for a public facing document to just stick with the residential address. At the bottom, I also noticed they use the term physiographic. And I have to be honest, I have no idea what that means. So not to say that I have any great understanding of these things, but I have no idea what it means, and I've been trying to teach my kids at home. So I'd like to think that I'm a bit up to speed with the current lingo, but I don't know what that means.
Okay. I had the same question, Al. I have no idea what that word means. So I don't know. Anybody else know what that word means? How about the librarian? Does she know what it means? No? Okay. Okay. Pamela or Joanne, do you want to put us out of our misery and tell us what the word means?
It's in this context, we don't even need it. It could just be description of any cultural heritage landscape, and that does a trick. Thank you very much for that feedback, Al. That's you're right about the legal description, that it's really not something that just anybody can get access to easily.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Just I see now what you're meaning by physiographic. When I look at the description and hearing your comments, I think I understand. We had talked in the past, I think over a year or so ago, about some properties where it's not necessarily the structure, but it's the landscaping and the way that particular trees or hedges or pathways are aligned, and that's the heritage value. So I think that's what you were trying to capture. And if so, then I understand that. And I think it's a good idea. Overall, I don't mind the forms, but it would help if we could see them in a little bit more a relaxed pace if you could send them to us. Thank you very much.
Doris.
So thank you very much, Madam Chair. I think the staff have done a great job on the forms. A couple of comments. Like Al, I'd like to look at them in more detail and mull them over. So I'd appreciate the opportunity to review them. What I like about the form is that anyone who would like a property designated, all they have to do is follow the form. And it's basically a checklist of all the information they need to submit to us, which I think makes it really easy. It makes it easier for people to work towards getting their property designated, which I think is what we're trying, the ultimate goal is. I also like the fact that we've got the form for the assessment of the designation request, because again, I think it speaks to the need for us to have a common transparent process that everyone understands and therefore can see that in the form. My one suggestion would be, and it's picking up on Al's comment about physiography and what physiography is, and physiography is really the physical landscape, the physical forms of an area that make up the cultural aspects to it. So it could be a mountainside, it could be a valley, different things like that. But what this brings me to, the comment is it would be nice in the form if there were information boxes, so that if you hit on the information button for that particular question, it gives you a brief explanation of what we're looking for in that, to fill out that aspect of the form. Okay. In work that I've done in other program areas, this has been very helpful in that what has ended up happening is that the forms that we get back from people, whether it's to designate a property or for another purpose, are much more complete because they have a better understanding of what we're looking for and a better understanding of the kind of information we need to be able to assess their property. And what it does is not only do you get a more complete form, it reduces the back and forth between the staff and the applicant. And, you know, given our last conversation about being efficient and effective, this is another way I think that where we can really limit the time of our staff in answering questions when it can be done through a form, and have them focus on doing the assessments of the designation themselves. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Karen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, thank you to staff. I can bring it forward again if you wish that, or another member of committee can do so. Thank you. This is such a good thing. And I think that the residents will really be happy to see this. So thanks to staff for doing this. I agree with the comments that other members of committee have made. You're bang on. And the easier it's made for everybody, the better. And yeah, linking certain things, or this is an example of what we are looking for, and then, you know, with a line underneath and the link, I think that would work very, very well. But and again, this could help spur further heritage designations, further heritage identifications, and I look forward to seeing how we progress with this. So thank you very much.
Any other comments from anyone else about the forms? And again, I think I have a couple of comments, is that we've asked to be able to see them. Will there be at the next meeting an opportunity to talk about this again? Yeah, okay. And my other comments were, will there be a place in the form to say, identifying who's doing it, and saying what your credentials are, like you are an urban planner, you are part of the Historical Society, you are a nasty neighbor, you are whatever, some way of saying, you know, I'm not going to say nasty neighbor, but neighbor, you know, something just to help put it in context of who's submitting that. So that was my one suggestion. And also I'm thinking that first part where you had strongly agree, or disagree, would you not want to have like not applicable in that drop down menu as well? Like, I'm just thinking it's possible that would be not like something you'd want to have there. So those are my comments. Okay. So any other, but not the nasty neighbor. Okay. Ryan's thing, I shouldn't have said nasty neighbor.
No, through you, Madam Chair. No, as this is the motions on the floor, there wouldn't be
Okay.
second, I guess, an opportunity to speak to it at the next meeting. Certainly, you know, you can discuss the minutes and potentially through there, but this would be it unless a motion was came at the next meeting.
So we would need a motion to be able to have it discussed again. Is that what you're saying, Ryan? Can you clarify that?
Yeah, sorry, your comment that you know, can this be discussed at the next meeting? Unless really staff were to bring it forward again, you know, there wouldn't be the opportunity to speak to this again at the next meeting.
Okay, because I think
through the chair, I think that we have full intention of returning because again, this is the first time we present this information to you. Again, we are testing the water. So we certainly will come back with a, you know, a revised and you know, modified form based on what we get today. I am not sure if we can do that next month. But we have full intention of returning to the committee for a full endorsement. So again, this is just to have the discussion started.
Okay, so there is no need to put forth a motion to have a discussion of further point.
we will bring it back to you just the way we have brought it to you tonight, because we had a previous discussion, and so we thought that we should follow through. So we will continue to do that as much as we can with our workload allowed. So I think that very likely to be in the new year, because December is a busy time. So
okay. Joe, did you have a comment there? I thought I saw you raised your hand.
No, I didn't. But I'm also very supportive of this. I think I said ex officio non-voting on this committee, but I think it's a good initiative. Anything that helps to encourage people to embrace a heritage designation on their property, and they feel less encumbered. But by if they want to paint window shutters, and to think that they don't have to wait for a committee to rule on some minor work, might take away some of the stigma that goes along with owning a heritage property. I think that's the biggest challenge we have right now is many homeowners that are in truly historical properties that should be designated. They're resisting because they're concerned that they won't be able to make the minor alterations that they want to. So just my 2 cents.
Okay. No, I thought you had your hand up, and I'm thinking you certainly have right to comment. So very good. Okay.
I could always talk when called on. I'm Italian, so that happens.
Okay. I think we had from Karen already. She was ready to move that we accept it. So can we have everyone in favor of receiving this report?
Sorry, Madam Chair, I just had a comment, one last comment, if I might.
Yes.
I apologize.
No.
Thank you. I do agree with Doris's suggestion about having the description, just so I can say that before I joined this committee, I had no idea that you could have a heritage designation for land features without the structure. So I think that's a very important, what Doris pointed out, to make that sort of information available in the form. And as Councilor Smith has pointed out, we'll get better uptake and better descriptions for the forms coming in the staff. So I think that would be very helpful. And the other point that I want to make is that perhaps any forms coming in when staff, I'll use the term adjudicate on them as to whether or not it has heritage merit, that it be kept on a record for that property, so that if we have other applications or requests coming in, we can see if it's been adjudicated on a particular point already, so that we don't have duplication or conflicting decisions. Also, you might have somebody putting in an application, or sorry, pardon me, a submission on a particular attribute for which it may not qualify as a heritage feature, but someone else might put in an application, or a submission for a different feature. So it'd be nice to have that compilation of anything that comes in for a particular property, so that we have it, we maintain it, and that we're in better standing to defend a decision from a city point of view as to whether or not something's heritage or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any other last comments, questions? Okay. So all in favor of receiving the report? Any opposed? Carried. We receive this report. Okay. Okay. I should have printed out my agenda bigger font. Okay. We will now go down to 5.4, proposed 2022 Heritage Richmond Hill meeting schedule. And it looks like we're having the dates there. Okay. So February 15th. Okay. Last year I had the question about it being Valentine's Day. So we're fine there. It doesn't look like March break. These Tuesdays certainly are on holidays. So yeah. Okay. So any questions and comments about the dates there? Tom?
Madam Chair, no concerns about the dates, other than I do have 2 dates that would be a conflict for me, April 5th and June 14th.
Okay.
Or 16th, sorry. But
I'm impressed that you know that far ahead that you have conflict. So
But we have committee meetings at the board office.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
So good for you. You're on top of things. Okay. Anyone else? Any questions and comments on those dates? Barb?
Just through the chair, there's no July meeting. Don't we usually have meetings in July or no? No? Okay, that's all.
Through you, Madam Chair, yeah, there is no meetings in July for 2022. I can certainly just checking right now if we've had one in the past, but at the juncture, there are no meetings scheduled for July in 2022.
Okay, that's all.
Okay, yeah, I thought we had the summer off, so July and August, unless there's an emergency issue that demolition that we need to convene for. Is that correct? Okay, Doris, did you have a question there? No, okay, okay. Well, that's simple enough. That's your schedule. We can put them in. I asked if we'd actually have a meeting in December, and we do. So I thought it was a question with the by-election, but no, we'll have a meeting in December. So I don't need to wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and then the rest of that. So we will meet again, but I guess we have to, was there somebody who's going to move to have them dates approved? Okay, Doris, good. All in favor? Okay, any opposed? Al, James?
No, I'm not opposed, sir. I was trying to use my hand raising thing to
Okay,
sort of streamline things, but I guess that
didn't work. Okay, James, you're fine? Okay, good. Okay, motion is carried. Okay, so the date of our next meeting, as I've already mentioned, is Tuesday, December the 7th at 7 o'clock. And that will be our last meeting of the year. So yeah, so a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, point of order, 5.5. I don't certainly have nothing to add, but just for the sake of following the agenda, 5.5, if I can point that out.
Thank you. You can tell I'm anxious to get the meeting over with. Okay, no any verbal updates?
Madam Chair, if I may, as a member of the subcommittee, it's not a verbal update, but rather it's a request. At our 2 meetings ago or 3 meetings ago, the staff were kind enough to tell us about the work that is happening in the city with regards to a digital approach to sharing all the information related to heritage properties. So I would ask that at the next, if not at the next meeting, at the February meeting, that we get an update from the staff about the efforts that are being made to digitize all of our heritage information. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Doris. Any response from Pamela or Joanna?
I can respond very excitedly. We're working with our GIS staff. We finalized a PDF map. It's a static map that shows where all the designated properties are and all the listed properties are. We're hoping to get that on the website sometime soon. But into more like interesting, exciting news is that we're beginning work on having an interactive map, something that will show the whole city, and then you hover over a property and it'll just pop up information about it, photos that we have of it. And we're not sure exactly about the timeline, but it is something that we're working on right now. And it will be something that will be more of an ongoing project that as we get more information, we can build on it. So when we do release it, put it up on the website, it may not be like the final version, and we would love to hear feedback from HRH at that point to see like what other elements you would like to have added to it. And I've also seen if there's if we can also incorporate some sort of element where the public would also have the opportunity to provide information, stories, photos they have of properties. And so that could also be incorporated into the mapping as well. So it's big things are coming. Very big things are coming.
Thank you. And I would love
I look forward to seeing the digitized version, the interactive version, to provide input and advice, because I think that there's a lot of people on the committee who are interested in this, and I'm sure have some great ideas they can share with you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Pamela and Joanne.
Yeah, thank you, Doris, for bringing that forth. And yeah, I'm excited about it too. I'm looking forward to presenting it to the Historical Society, and I think they may have some great feedback for you. That's good for all of us. So there. Okay. Okay, I'm waiting for Ryan to pop up. Okay, we've got 5.5. I'm squinting here to this small print thing, but I think we're done. Date of next meeting is Tuesday, December 7th. Oh, we pressed
Sorry, Madam
this.
Chair, there's Councillor Sullivan, I believe also member Itwar would like.
Okay, sorry. Karen, sorry.
No worries, no worries. I just wanted to add, this is great. We're really progressing here with our HRH committee, and this is terrific news. I think it would also, deserve quite the rah-rah hooray from a communications update when we've got all of this in place as well to let the residents know. And just one point on the interactive map, if you click on the marker that identifies where the property is, it would be nice also if you click on that marker and you see a photograph of it.
Yeah.
That would be terrific. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We're really excited about this. Al.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I absolutely agree with the comments that have been made. And thank you, Doris, for bringing this up. I'd like to say if staff is interested in assistance from certainly myself, any other members of the media, I'd be happy to assist. I think it'd be a great idea if we could put everything about heritage together in one spot, one-stop shopping. When I was looking at the city website, it's not bad, but I think it could be improved a little bit, and perhaps some feedback from citizen members would help streamline it and bring out the information that really needs to be brought forward. And having all those pictures and everything else that you've described in the GIS mapping, if it might create a bit of a buzz when somebody's looking at it, they would look at all the work that's being done for heritage, and it might prompt some people to put in those submissions if we could put it all together in one space as opposed to disparate sources. I know when I was many years ago, I was on the Road West Committee, and we assisted the city staff with that as well. And I believe the submissions they were getting, the police were getting, improved significantly. So I'd be happy to just say it publicly that if you're interested, I'm happy to help. Thank you.
Okay. And I'd just like to make the comment that I'm aware that it's coming up to the city's sesquicentennial in 23, correct? And this would be sort of great to be part. If we had this all robust, really active thing, it'd be a great thing to be part of that. So just comment from me. Okay. Any other last minute comments, questions there? I think this is where we are putting forth these great ideas. And again, Doris, thank you for making that comment. Okay. Okay, Ryan, I'll try again. Date of our next meeting is December. No.
Through you, Madam Chair, we do need a mover for the motion for the verbal update.
Okay. Jenica, okay, is giving us that. Okay, sorry. Okay, all in favor? Okay, any opposed? Al, we've lost.
I'm in favor.
You're in favor. Okay, now and James is faded away. Okay, approved. Okay, carried. Okay. Now we'll move on to 6.6 on our agenda. Date of next meeting, December 7th. Okay, I don't think we need a mover for that. Okay, can we have a mover to adjourn? Doris, okay, good. All in favor? Good. Okay, carries unanimously. Al, I'm going to assume you're fine with adjourning the meeting. Okay.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Ryan and Lana, for keeping me on track. And yeah, have a good month. And we'll see you guys later. I think we had a good meeting, good discussions. And it was good.